diddly squat about San Onofre. 1952, the Marine Corps put the pressure on these lunatics that just got out of the armed services, and they, of course, they all lived out in Pasadena. I don't know how Pasadena got involved. Actually, San Onofre is a branch of Pasadena. All those motorhomes, all those those are all, they originated in Pasadena. I think they had some of those are all skiers up there. You know, ski bums revisited at San Onofre. They did have some of those good guys. They had Obi Rod, and they had Warnie Miller. You remember Warnie, the big filmmaker. But what would happen is you would go down to the beach. It wasn't as convoluted as now where you got the rangers and the parkades and all that. The Lona. You just drove in. You paid $5 for a key. Well, if you had $5, if not, you just get a key from somebody and unlock the gate. The gate would be up by where that parking area they have there. Oh, you know where it is. It's they have a yellow storage thing now. The state does, but that's where they used to have the gate. It swung back and forth. You know, you unlock it and then you swing it and you drive in. So once you drove in, you would. San Onofre's ocean isn't like it used to be. And this is way back. San Onofre Ocean, you could hear the waves coming. They weren't breaking, but you could hear the waves coming. You know Bing Copeland? Bing Copeland was in the water one day, and he told me, but now this was in the mid-50s, he says, one thing I like about San Onofre is that when you ride the waves, your board hisses. You know, you're on the green water and the board hisses. It doesn't do that nowadays. God, it's flapping and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, the old days, one of the funniest things that I ever saw back in the old days was they had this guy named Wild Ass Wiley. Now, Wild Ass Wiley was a funny person. Now, Wild Ass Wiley wasn't a drunkard like those other guys, and you know who they are. These doctors that wore nylon brief trunks, and jeez. This guy, Wild Ass, was not a boozer, as those San Onofre people were boozers. And you know what a boozer is? They're ongoing lushes. So he shows up one day, and all the San Onofre heroes are passed out drunk, sleeping it off from last night. They didn't have rangers to throw you out. So Wild Ass Wiley shows up, and and I'm not going to mention any names, but you know who they are, because they were on the board of directors, BOD, of San Onofre. Now, airplane out, the glider out, opened the cockpit door, and put the spider monk in the cockpit, closed the door, walked away, and started down that god-awful, filthy dirt road. So just bouncing and bouncing and bouncing, and finally he gets enough speed, and up she goes. So Wiley flies it probably about 50 yards out over the ocean, and then he comes back, and then this is before they had these silly cliffs with all the weeds and that stuff growing on them. They were sandstone cliffs that were straight up and down, and they had a cave, beautiful cave. Well, asked Wiley, give this monk a ride, starting at where this place called the Point is. He comes down probably about 30 feet off the ground, comes down the road, and Wiley sees all the the drunks passed out on the sand, and he lands the glider with a what's that thing? Remote control glider. The thing bounces to a stop, and then out pops Monk. Now these drunks on the beach are just starting to wake up because they hear all this commotion and this glider and all that. And they look up and they see this monk running up and down the road, and they think that, holy jeez, this is awful. We're never gonna drink again. And they, honest to goodness, thought